Hi everyone, welcome to Chalk Couture 101. This is going to be a quick small project that just really kind of illustrates how to use the Chalk Couture products and what the definitions of those products are. I'm very excited about this project because I found this nice little chalkboard stand that I think is going to work just perfect for an event that I have coming up here in a couple of weeks. And at that event, we're going to have a dessert bar. So I thought that this transfer, this nice little ice cream transfer, would actually work very well at that dessert bar. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this transfer. And as you can see, it is a silkscreen transfer. And each of the sections of the design have guide marks. So those guide marks are there so that we can actually cut them and easily place them where we want them on the project itself. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out each of these pieces. And I really just want the ice cream scoops. I don't really want the quote because it doesn't fit on my board very well, and I really want room for this whole triple scoop of ice cream. So we're going to cut out each of these. And before we get started, we're going to write on the back of each what it is. This actually, what this does is it tells me not only which image goes on each of the backings, but it also tells me which side is the right side and the wrong side for whenever I want to put my transfer back on here. Now you'll also notice that on this scoop of ice cream, which is different than these, that it fits, the design will fit just perfectly right down into the cone itself. So I'm going to call this the bottom scoop. And then these scoops, right, will be the same. So you just kind of want to make sure that you're lining them up and how you want to see them on your cone. So this is going to be my middle scoop. And my top scoop. Okay. Now, as I said, these are silkscreen transfers. And this is the Chalkology paste that we're going to talk about in just a moment. But this is not a paint. It's not a chalk. It is a chalk paste that will dry hard and non-smudgeable, so that you can touch it and not have to worry about your project being distorted or smudged. However, it is chalk paste, so once you're all finished with that particular project, then you'll be able to spritz it with some water and let it sit for just a moment and let the chalk paste reabsorb that moisture, and then just wipe it with a clean wet rag or a baby wipe. So we'll get to this, the Chalkology paste, a little bit more in just a moment, so I'm going to set those aside. And we're going to bring in our cute little sign here. Now, these transfers, because this is a brand new transfer that I just took out of the package, you're going to peel it off of the backing, and a lot of times you want to peel the backing off of the transfer rather than the transfer off of the backing. And the reason for that is because it is silkscreen and it can become a little distorted if you try and stretch it too much, or you get a bad pull on it. The other thing, you can see that it's very sticky, right? The backing is quite sticky. So we also want to do what we call fuzzing to the back of it, so that anytime you put it on a surface, then it's not as difficult to remove. Okay, so I'm just going to fuzz this a little bit real quick. And you can do this with just a terry cloth towel. Sometimes I use just a paper towel. Really just whatever you want to use in order to kind of get some fuzz onto the back of there. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but you'll notice that in the image itself, in each of these areas that there's not this blue, there is an actual silk screen where that is where it allows the chalk paste to actually go through and create your image. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start the placement of our cone, and we're just going to eyeball this here to kind of see how we want to put this on here. So I'm going to do my cone first, and the other thing that we want to make sure of is I try and make sure that I've got the screen on my project fairly well. What you don't want to see is you don't want to see any air bubbles in the screen, because that'll actually push your paste into directions, and you can cause bleeding underneath the transfer itself. They will probably distort, and you won't be real satisfied with the image itself. Okay, so we're going to do our waffle cone first, and the colors that I wanted to do the waffle cone in are a mocha, and it's mustard. That doesn't sound very nice for an ice cream cone, but I liked the color. So what I'm going to do is we're going to open this chalk paste, the mocha and the mustard colors. And we're going to give it a stir. What you're looking for is a nice, a yogurt, or sometimes I might refer to it as a yogurt or a sour cream kind of consistency. But you want it to be relatively smooth and creamy. So this looks just about perfect. Okay. Now you do want to keep on hand something to stir your paste with, and you want to make sure that it's a non-porous stir. So here I'm using a makeup stick. It's plastic. The advantage is I can, wash it and reuse it again and again. It's relatively, inexpensive to be using multiple at the same time with multiple colors, and it works pretty well in terms of, getting down to the bottom of these jars and making sure you've got all of it all stirred up. So again, nice, right, yogurt kind of consistency here. That's good. So I mentioned that you don't want to use a non-porous stir. The reason for that is because it is chalk paste and it is going to dry. So you want to make sure that you're not using anything non-porous, because it will actually suck the wooden, say, craft sticks or popsicle sticks. Those actually withdraw a lot of the moisture out of your chalk paste, which you don't want to do. Okay? If your chalk paste doesn't have a good consistency to it, you can, spritz it with just a little bit of water. I use just, plain water in one of these little spritzing bottles, and you can always add more. You can't take it out, so just, use it in moderation until you get that right consistency. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to tell you a little bit about is the squeegees. So this is our small squeegee. And what I like to do is I like to cut these squeegees in half, and it creates a perfect size to dip into the jar. And sometimes I will also go as far as cutting it into fourths. And what that does is it allows you a little bit more control over exactly where you're going to put that color. The other squeegees that we have is an angled squeegee. So this is good for, you know, a little larger projects is what I typically would use this for. It has all different kinds of, you know, angles where you can, manipulate that chalk paste into places and crevices that that you want. For large projects, for large transfers, I use this one. It comes in. It's very useful for those, but we're not going to use this one today. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do is I want this waffle cone to have kind of a realistic look to it. So I'm going to spread and just kind of place some of this mocha chalk paste color kind of around the edges. You know how on waffle cones, the edges, typically will look a little darker, a little bit more brown, right, if you will, than the middle of the cone. So I want to make sure that, right, I'm kind of placing this where I think that those darker areas might be. Then I'm going to take some of my mustard color. I still can't get used to calling this mustard and thinking that I'm using this on a on an ice cream cone. But anyway, you'll notice that the chalk paste goes a long way. So it's not going to take a whole lot. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my squeegee and working fast, a little quickly, I'm going to rub in, right, some of these darker areas. And then what you can do is whatever chalk paste you rub off, if it's not incorporated with the other colors, you can put it right back in the jar and use it for later. So now I want to take this and I'm going to blend my mustard color in to the rest of here. Now what you want to do is make sure that I don't have any, I do. I'll wipe this off on here because it had some of that mocha color in with it as well, and I don't want to mix that back into the jar. So we're going to set this aside. And we're going to pull these colors some more, getting off all of the excess. And you do want to work relatively quickly because, again, the chalk paste will dry and some of your transfer, right, will be remaining. Now, once you get the chalk paste on there, and you get all your excess off, then you're going to take, right, one of the corners. Again, you're going to pull it kind of in a diagonal. Careful not to stretch your transfer because we don't want to distort the transfer because we're going to be able to use these, right, over and over again. So we don't want to distort a transfer the next time that we go to use it. Okay. Very good. Okay, so now we're going to take this, and I have a tin of water, just plain water. I'm going to put that in there so that the chalk paste does not dry on my transfer itself. And we're going to hit this with it right now. As you can see, it's still a little bit wet. So we're going to use, I use a heat gun. You can use a blow dryer. And we're going to dry this. Okay, so as you can see now, it's dry and you can touch it. Okay. I'm going to put the lid back on here so that it doesn't dry out while I'm putting the other colors on. And we're going to move on to the next two colors. So the next two colors, I really wanted to use, I wanted it to be a Neapolitan. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do the chocolate on the bottom or the chocolate on the top. I know that I want the vanilla in the middle. And I think I'm going to do the chocolate on the top. That way it doesn't blend in with the edges of my cone. Okay, so same thing. This is custard. This is a custard color. I thought that rather than white, this looked a little bit more like a vanilla kind of ice cream color. And this one is called Peachy, although I think it has that pink kind of hue to it, kind of like strawberry ice cream. I liked it a little bit better than the bubblegum for this project. The bubblegum just seemed a little too bright and pinky for me. Okay, so I'm gonna open this one. I like to just kind of slit this. That way I still have my color on the side, and then I know which color is what going forward. So you'll see this one, it was a brand new jar and it needs to be stirred up pretty good. It's a little thicker, but as we stir, it should loosen up a little bit. Yep, getting to that nice consistency, yogurt, sour cream, whatever you want to relate it to, but you want it to be nice and creamy and, like I said, that smooth consistency. Okay, and then I put the lid on this one a little too soon, I guess. So okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with our transfers. Again, right, very sticky, our silk screen, so we're gonna put it on the towel again and get it nice and fuzzed up so that it doesn't stick to our project too much. We want it to stay, but we don't want it to not be able to come off. Okay, once we have that, then you're just gonna line up this on your cone. Try and line up the lines from the cone that we just did. And then we're going to smooth it out. Make sure that you don't have any bubbles, right? Any air bubbles under there that are gonna cause us any problems. Okay. And then I can, yeah, and that's gonna be plenty, I think. We're gonna push our paste all around. You want to make sure that you get all of those open areas on your screen. And get off any excess and put it right back in the jar so that we can save that and use it again. This time I don't have to worry about incorporating multiple colors. So we're good there. Now you'll notice here I got a little bit off of the screen. That's okay, I'm not concerned about that. Actually that one's going to be covered up with another color anyway, but just for demonstration purposes I will show you how to fix that. Because it is the chalk paste, we can fix our boo-boos pretty easily. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Ah, yay. Okay, so we're going to put this one, our bottom cone, into the water. And you'll see that it is, you know, wet, so I'm going to hit it again with the... Okay. Now, just for a small little boo-boo like that, what I'll do is just use a cotton swab and dip it in my basin of water. And voila, it comes right off. Okay, you can fix those up. Okay, now let's do our middle scoop. Same drill. Again, new transfer, very sticky. I'm going to fuzz it up a couple times. Okay. And then, you know, we're going to kind of figure out how, right? Do I want this? I don't think I want it to go straight up and down, because who makes a perfect ice cream cone like that, right? Now, whenever you're layering colors, I try and be careful not to push it too much on the you know, stickiness onto colors that I've already done, because it will have a tendency to pull that color back up if it's on there too tight. You want it not to move, but you also don't want it to pull up what you've done, right, in the previous color. Okay, ooh, I got a lot of vanilla on there, so we have a lot to put back in the jar. Push the color around there. Yay. Oh, I'm so excited about this. I think this is going to look so cute on the dessert table. Okay, now we're going to pull this up. Oop. And into the water he goes. And we're going to dry. Dry. Okay, and our last and final scoop, my favorite flavor, chocolate. Same drill. I'm going to fuzz it up on the towel. Okay. And then eyeball that on there. Okay. Again, making sure that there's no bubbles in our screen, no air bubbles in our screen, so we want to get all of those out, but not adhering it to our vanilla layer too much. Stir, give this a little stir. Some of that on there. I think that'll be good, good, good. Okay, I'm going to pull our color around, making sure that we're getting all of that screen, all those open areas, and then pulling off the excess and putting that right back into the jar for later use. Okay. Okay. Pull this one diagonal. Making sure not to distort it. Oh, look how cute that's going to be. See, that mustard doesn't look like mustard on an ice cream cone, does it? Okay, so I'm gonna put these lids back on here, and we'll stand up our project and see what it looks like. You see that? Cute. So that's that. Thank you all for watching. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Message me, PM me, post on my page, Creative Chalk, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.